What happens when the man who built a business from scratch ends up scrubbing countertops in his own cafe, just to find out how far things have drifted from his values? Owen Hargrove leaned back in his leather chair, staring at the sales reports for store number 7 Benton Street Cafe. It wasn't the numbers that bothered him. It was the pattern: slipping customer reviews, employees quitting without notice, and one too many vague emails from the district manager calling it a rough location. He had built this coffee chain from a food truck and 10-hour days. Now there were 10 cafes scattered through the state. Each one was supposed to be homey, affordable, and warm. But lately, the warmth was missing, especially at Benton. Owen had never met the staff at that location. It opened during a hiring blitz 2 years ago. He'd been busy dealing with expansion. The only people who knew what he looked like were the corporate team, most of whom stayed out of the cafes. He figured it was the perfect chance to go undercover. He shaved his beard, wore thick-rimmed glasses, swapped his usual button-downs for a wrinkled t-shirt, and used his middle name, Eli. A week later, he walked into Benton Street Cafe as a new trainee barista. "Hey, you the new guy?" A tall man in a black polo called from behind the counter. "I'm Travis, manager here. Let's see if you can keep up." Owen nodded, slipping behind the counter. The place looked clean enough, but the mood was off, quiet, tense. 2 employees moved around without speaking much. No music, no chit-chat. And every time a customer walked in, Travis's smile seemed forced. By the second hour, Owen was already wiping down tables and prepping syrups. No training, just watch and learn. A petite woman with curly dark hair shot him a quick glance. "You're new?" she asked, keeping her voice down. "Yeah, Eli," he said. "Sorry, what's your name?" "Nina," she said. "I've only been here 3 months. Just don't take it personally if Travis snaps. He's like that." He watched her help a customer with a warm smile, even as Travis barked from the back, "Nina, refill the napkins, come on." "I got it," she muttered, heading over. The day dragged. Travis barely lifted a finger, spending most of his time on his phone in the back. Meanwhile, Nina and another guy named Cole worked non-stop. Around 2 in the afternoon, an exhausted-looking college student came in, hoodie, backpack, eyes heavy. He walked up to the counter, holding a few crumpled bills. "Hey, can I just get a small coffee, black, and, do the bagels come with cream cheese or is that extra?" Travis stepped up fast, his voice loud. "It's 50 cents extra. You want it or not?" The student hesitated, eyes flicking to the tip jar that was nearly empty. "I'll just take the coffee." Owen was already pouring it. Travis leaned in, not quietly. "You know, if you're that cheap, maybe you shouldn't be eating out." The student froze. A couple nearby customers glanced over. Owen's jaw tightened. I didn't mean," the kid started, but Travis waved him off, turning to Nina. "Go clean table 6, there's crumbs." Owen handed the student the coffee and gave him a quiet nod. "On the house," he said under his breath. The kid looked surprised but grateful. "Thanks." "Man." Travis didn't notice he was already out back again. After the rush, Owen stood by the sink, hands shaking slightly. He couldn't believe what he'd just seen. A manager calling a student cheap, loud enough for half the cafe to hear. Nina slid up beside him, voice low. "That kind of stuff happens a lot. People stop coming back." "Why hasn't anyone said anything?" Owen asked. She gave a tired laugh. "To who? District barely checks in, and Travis tells them we're lazy if we complain." Owen didn't say anything. He couldn't. He had to see more. By day 3, Owen had memorized the rhythm of the cafe. He knew which machines rattled too loud, which mugs chipped too easily, and which customers tipped without fail. What kept gnawing at him wasn't the work. It was how quiet everyone had become, not just in words, but in spirit. There was no energy. The smiles felt forced, the kind that faded before they fully formed. He'd been bussing a cluttered corner table when Nina approached him with a dish bin, her shoulders hunched subtly forward as if bracing for something. "You free after shift?" she asked without looking up. "I could show you how to log inventory. Travis doesn't bother, so someone's gotta." Owen nodded. "Sure. You always take that on?" "Most nights, yeah. Cole does it when he closes, but he's been asking for fewer hours lately. Class stuff." Their conversation cut off as Travis stomped out from the back room, a half-eaten burrito in one hand, grease-stained paper in the other. "Who left the back door open? It smells like trash in here," he barked. Nina didn't flinch. "I was taking cardboard out. I closed it right after." Travis didn't answer. He tossed the paper into the sink and walked away, muttering something about incompetence. Later that afternoon, a delivery came, in milk, pastries, and dry goods. The driver looked confused. "You got a Travis here?" he asked Owen, glancing at the clipboard. "He's supposed to sign." "He's in the office," Owen said. "Want me to grab him?" "Nah, he usually makes me wait 20 minutes, the driver said. "You can sign if you want. I've seen you around." Owen hesitated, then wrote his alias on the form. "You guys always this short-staffed?" the driver added, eyeing the empty floor. "Most stores have someone dedicated for this." "We manage," Owen said, already stacking crates. The driver left. Owen started hauling boxes to the back, but paused at the sound of yelling from the hallway. Nina's voice low but tense. "I'm not covering again, Travis. I have class." "You think I care about your night class? We're slammed Saturdays. You're not special." "I already switched twice this month. I'm not asking anymore. I'm telling you." "Then don't bother showing up at all." Owen turned the corner just in time to see Nina toss her apron on the prep table. She locked eyes with him, jaw tight, before walking out the front door without a word. Travis passed Owen without looking at him. "You just volunteered for closing," he said. That night, Owen stayed well past his scheduled shift, wiping tables and logging deliveries alone. The cafe was nearly empty except for Cole, who had one headphone in as he mopped near the window. When Owen brought up the confrontation, Cole just shook his head. "She'll be back," he said. "People quit here all the time. Some come back, some don't." The words sat heavy. By the time Owen left, it was nearly midnight. He sat in his car watching the dark storefront. The thought of Nina's apron on the prep table wouldn't leave him. The next morning, he arrived early. Travis was already there, sipping a drink behind the counter, scrolling his phone. Owen walked in and headed straight to the back. He didn't say a word. Instead, he pulled out his own phone and called the HR director at corporate. "I need you to pull employee records for Benton Street," he said, "specifically turnover, and I want to know how many complaints have come in about the store manager." There was a long pause on the other end. "Are you at that store right now?" she asked, caught off guard. "I am, and I want everything by this afternoon." He hung up and returned to the front. Travis was still glued to his screen. "You didn't clock in," he said without looking up. "I'll make up for it," Owen replied. Around noon, a woman in her 40s arrived, wearing a khaki jacket and a name badge clipped to her bag. She walked in briskly, glancing around with a clipboard. Travis stepped forward. "You lost?" "District audit," she said. "I'm from corporate." Travis stiffened. "Nobody told me anything." She didn't respond, just started making notes. Owen kept working the espresso bar, watching. She took photos of the staff schedule, checked the temperature logs on the fridge, and even asked Cole about payroll discrepancies. Travis trailed behind her, visibly sweating. By 2 o'clock, she pulled Owen aside. "Your name is Eli, right?" she asked. He nodded. "I need to speak with the manager off floor." "Can you cover register?" "Gladly." She and Travis disappeared into the back. 20 minutes later, she came out alone. Travis followed shortly after, his face pale. He didn't say anything, just walked out the front door without his apron. Owen stayed silent. That evening, after the cafe closed, Cole stood near the pastry case, arms crossed. "Travis fired?" he asked, not quite smiling. "Removed," Owen said. "Guess he finally said the wrong thing to the right person." "No," Owen replied. "He said the wrong thing to a dozen people, for too long." Cole nodded slowly. "So what now?" "I'll be here a few more days," Owen said, "and we'll get someone in who actually cares. You've all earned better than this." Before heading out, Owen checked the schedule. Nina's name was still there, crossed off in black ink. He walked outside, made a call, and left a message. "Nina, it's Eli. You don't owe anyone an explanation, but if you're open to it, I'd really like you to come back. Things are changing, for real." He hung up and stood in the chill air for a moment, watching the glow of the cafe fade behind him. Tomorrow, he'd start listening. Properly. The next morning, Owen arrived before the sun cleared the rooftops. A thin layer of frost clung to the sidewalk. He unlocked the cafe with a borrowed key, flipped the lights, and stood alone in the quiet stillness, listening to the low hum of the refrigerator compressors and the slow tick of the wall clock. For the first time since stepping into this role, there was no one barking orders or walking out in frustration, just silence and a faint smell of cinnamon from the leftover pastries. Cole showed up 10 minutes later, his backpack slung low and earbuds tucked into his hoodie collar. "You're in early," he said, rubbing his eyes as he walked behind the counter. "I wanted to see what the place felt like when it breathes," Owen replied. Cole gave him a puzzled glance but didn't push. Instead, he filled the drip machines and prepped the bakery case without a word. The rhythm was calmer, not perfect, but less tense. By 8, the cafe had a steady flow of customers. Owen worked the register while Cole handled drinks. The absence of Travis created a strange void, one that Owen hadn't expected to feel so clearly. The usual pressure in the air was gone, but so was the structure. Even when dysfunctional, Travis had created a routine. Now, things felt uncertain. Around 10, the door opened and Nina stepped inside, her eyes scanning the room with caution. She wasn't in uniform, but she held it in a folded bundle under one arm. Cole noticed her first. "Hey," he called gently. She didn't respond right away. She approached the counter slowly, looking past Owen before speaking. "Did he really leave?" she asked. Owen nodded. "He's not coming back." She placed her uniform on the counter. "I need the hours," she said. "But I'm not doing this unless things are different." "They already are," Owen said, "but I want you to help shape what comes next." Nina hesitated, then picked up her uniform again. "I'll change in the back." She re-emerged 15 minutes later, hair tied back, apron on, and her expression more composed than the last time he'd seen her. By early afternoon, the cafe started to feel functional, not thriving, but holding together. Owen spent most of his shift shadowing Nina as she navigated the inventory system, pointing out gaps and shortcuts Travis had left behind. She'd built her own spreadsheet to track what was missing, week to week. "I made this after we ran out of oat milk 3 Mondays in a row," she said, showing him the screen. "Travis said the deliveries were late, but it was just lazy ordering. Why didn't you send this to corporate? They don't exactly hand out email addresses to baristas." Owen nodded slowly, noting the files on her drive. She had documented everything: missed orders, unscheduled shift changes, even timestamps from late pay periods. "You've been keeping this up on your own?" he asked. "If I didn't, we'd be guessing every week." He didn't respond, not with words. He simply placed a small company-issued tablet on the counter beside her. "Starting today, you're on payroll as assistant manager," he said. "This location needs a new lead, and I need someone who's already doing the job." Nina blinked. "I didn't ask for that." "I know, but you earned it when no one was watching." She looked down at the tablet, unsure what to say. Cole, who had been refilling the tea dispensers, caught the exchange and gave a small nod of approval. The day wore on quietly. But just before the late afternoon lull, a man in a charcoal suit walked through the door. He was clean-shaven, with a leather briefcase and a silver watch that gleamed under the track lights. He scanned the room quickly, his eyes landing on Owen. "Eli?" he asked with a controlled tone. "Name's Owen," he replied, stepping from behind the counter. The man extended his hand. "Caleb Langston, Regional Operations. I heard about what happened with Travis." "I'd like to talk in the back," Owen said. They moved into the storeroom, where the clatter of milk crates and the hiss of the dishwasher couldn't reach them. "You disappeared from headquarters," Caleb said. "No messages, no updates. And now I'm hearing you removed a store manager on your own." "I didn't disappear," Owen said. "I went looking for the truth." Caleb folded his arms. "You've built something valuable, but we have procedures. If there's misconduct, there's a process." Owen didn't flinch. "Your process allowed a hostile manager to damage morale, chase off good people, and insult customers in public. That's not a system, it's a blind spot." Caleb frowned. "You're making this personal." "It became personal the minute I watched a student get humiliated for not affording cream cheese." The room went quiet. "I've already spoken to HR," Owen continued. "Effective immediately, this location reports directly to me until we rebuild the leadership structure. I don't want anyone from the regional team interfering unless I ask. Caleb didn't argue, but his jaw tightened as he nodded once and left without another word. Back on the floor, Cole noticed the tension in Owen's shoulders. Everything all right? Better than it was, Owen said. But there's more to clean up. Later that evening, a woman in her 60s came in, wearing a faded wool coat and holding a reusable cup with the old logo from the chain's earliest days. You guys still honor the refill policy? She asked. Owen took the cup gently and nodded. Of course. First one's free if you've kept the cup this long, she smiled, revealing a chipped front tooth. My husband and I used to come here every Friday before he passed. I haven't been back since. Nina overheard from across the bar and stepped in. Would you like a table by the window? We just cleaned it. The woman nodded slowly. That'd be nice. Owen poured her a fresh coffee and carried it over himself. As he set it down, he noticed her eyes glance around the cafe. It feels different, she said. Softer, like it used to. He didn't answer. He just nodded once and returned to the counter. That night, after closing, Nina stayed behind to review the schedule. Cole had gone home, and the cafe was silent again. You really own this place? She asked, breaking a long pause. Built it from a food truck, he replied, but I lost track of what it became. She looked up. You think you can fix it? I think we can, he said, but only if people like you stay. Nina folded the schedule and slid it into the drawer. Then I'm staying. Owen switched off the lights, one panel at a time, until only the glow from the pastry case remained. He locked the front door behind them and walked into the cold evening, no longer a stranger to his own company. By the following weekend, a cold rain swept through town, and Benton Street Cafe stayed steadily busy. Word had spread quietly that something had shifted. The regulars didn't say much, but more of them lingered. Even the college crowd returned, some with laptops, others just looking for somewhere that didn't feel like a transaction. Owen spent most of his time shadowing, not directing. He wore a plain apron like everyone else and kept to the register or dishes unless someone needed backup. He didn't announce his title, but by now, everyone knew who he was. Cole had taken on more shifts, stepping in where gaps had formed. When Owen asked what changed, Cole had shrugged and said, It doesn't feel like we're waiting for something to go wrong anymore. The leadership team had already posted the opening for a new store manager. Until then, Owen was running things himself, not from an office but from the floor. That Saturday afternoon, while Nina was restocking the milk fridge and Cole handled a long line of drink orders, a young woman with a clipboard walked in. Her coat was soaked at the shoulders and her boots tracked water across the tile. She approached the counter, scanning the menu. I'm with the East Side Nonprofit Coalition, she explained when Owen greeted her. We're doing a community resource campaign trying to partner with local businesses. Owen nodded. What kind of partnership? We're hosting job prep classes for teens who've aged out of foster care, she said. We're looking for places that might be open to offering short internships, or even just a few hours of job shadowing. He paused. You're asking if we'd take someone on? Just a trial run, a couple hours a week. No obligation to hire, they just need exposure. Nina had overheard. She stepped closer, wiping her hands on a towel. We could use help restocking weekends, she offered. Someone could learn the ropes without being thrown into the deep end. The woman looked between them. Really? You're open to it? Let's set up a time to talk, Owen said. She left with a promise to email, and Nina returned to the fridge. When Owen passed her a few minutes later, she gave him a look. That's not something Travis would have even let her finish saying. I know, Owen said. That's why we're doing it. The day wore on, steady but manageable. Around 4, a group of 3 high schoolers came in loud, joking, backpacks slung low. One of them, a tall boy with a puffy jacket and frayed sneakers, wandered to the pastry case and stared at the croissants for a long time. Cole was cleaning the espresso machine nearby when he caught Owen's eye. That kid's been in before, he said. Usually doesn't buy anything, just looks. Owen stepped out from the counter. He approached casually, hands in his apron pockets. Something catch your eye? He asked the boy. The kid hesitated. Just hungry, didn't eat all day. He didn't say it with embarrassment, just honesty. Owen nodded once, then walked behind the counter and wrapped one of the croissants in parchment paper. He handed it over without a word. The boy stared, unsure. "It's not charity," Owen said. "It's food. Take it." He did. And after a quiet thank you, he rejoined his friends, who had suddenly gone quieter. Back at the bar, Nina watched with a small frown. "Doesn't it bother you?" she asked. "People taking advantage?" "People notice when they're seen," he said. "He'll remember that." Later that evening, after the rush, the staff gathered briefly near the sink while cleaning up. Owen had called a quick meeting, not formal, just to check in. "I want to know what's not working," he said. "Not what's good, what's broken." Nina leaned against the counter. "We need better shift handoffs. The morning crew doesn't always restock syrups or clean up back prep. It slows us down." Cole added, "Our milk order's still cutting it close. A few more gallons and we wouldn't have to ration on Sundays." A newer barista, Maya, spoke up for the first time. "The dish station floods every time we run the sanitizer. I've been mopping it with towels." Owen nodded after each point. "I'll fix the order quantities," he said. "We'll log restock tasks on a shared sheet, and I'll get facilities out here about the drain this week." Maya looked surprised. "Wait, you can just do that?" "I can, and I will." As the others returned to tasks, Nina lingered. "You're not staying in this role." "Are you?" she asked. "I'm not the permanent manager, no," he said. "That's not fair to the team. You need someone here full time." She crossed her arms. "You already know who should be leading this place." "I do," he said, "but she hasn't said yes." Her expression didn't change. "If I do it, I'm not doing it from the office. I want a real voice on supply, training, the schedule, everything." "You'd have it," he said. "You've earned it twice over." She didn't answer right away. Then, with a steady breath, she said, "Fine, I'm in. But you better not disappear again." "I won't," he said. "Not from this." That Monday, the official announcement went up. Nina would step in as acting manager while the company finalized her title. Cole offered to train the new hires once they came through. And Owen approved a revised budget to add one more weekend shift. The café didn't transform overnight. There were still long days, deliveries that ran late, and customers who left messes. But the tension was gone. Employees didn't whisper when they made mistakes they asked for help. Nobody flinched when someone raised their voice, because no one did. A week later, Owen returned to headquarters. He walked into the main conference room, where the executive team was already seated. No one had expected him to show up in a café polo and work shoes. He stood at the head of the table. "I went undercover because I didn't trust the reports," he said. "And I was right not to. We've built a culture where problems are filtered, not fixed." One of the directors leaned forward. "You're suggesting we audit every store?" "I'm saying we show up," he said. "Not with clipboards, with aprons. You want to know your business? Work it." There was silence around the table. Owen continued. "Effective immediately. Every regional leader will spend 2 days each quarter on site at a random location unannounced. No talking, just listening." Another executive raised a concern. "Won't that disrupt operations?" "Not if you're doing it right," Owen said. The policy went into effect within the month. Stores were notified of a new initiative called ground-level rotation. No one knew when or where a leader might show up, only that they would. Back at Benton Street, the changes held. The internship pilot launched within 3 weeks. The drain was fixed. Maya was promoted to lead barista. The cafe didn't just run, it grew. Slowly, properly. And the boy with the frayed sneakers came back. Not for a croissant this time, but with a job application. Nina reviewed it herself, then handed him a schedule for a trial shift. "You show up on time, help out, and ask questions?" she said. He nodded. "I will." She watched him leave, then turned back to the counter. Owen, who had stopped by to drop off a supply invoice, raised an eyebrow. "New hire?" he asked. "Maybe," she said. "We'll see." He smiled not wide, just enough. Then he picked up a towel and wiped down the register. No title, no speech, just part of the team.